Have you ever sat at the kitchen table, papers spread out, thinking to yourself, I've worked my whole life for this. How do I make sure it ends up in the right hands? Maybe you've already written a will years ago, or maybe you've told your children. It's all taken care of. A couple in their 70s, let's call them Frank and Linda, told me they had everything figured out. They had a will, their kids knew what to do, and they figured that was enough, but after Frank passed, it turned out his retirement account still had his brother listed as the beneficiary from decades ago. The money bypassed the will completely. It left Linda heartbroken and the kids confused. Would you mind giving it a thumbs up, subscribing to our channel Vibrant Elders, and maybe sharing your thoughts in the comments below? We learn so much from each other in this community, all right? Let us start with the foundation of it all, something most of us think we've already done right. But when Carol passed, their kids found an old will written on a typewriter. Are the people you listed still the ones you trust to handle things? Are your wishes clearly laid out or written in a way that leaves room for confusion? Because starting with this one step can make all the difference down the road, and your family will thank you for it. And if you don't have one yet, let me assure you, it's not as scary as it sounds. There are affordable ways to get one drafted, either through a local attorney or even online if your situation is simple. What matters most is that your voice is clearly written down, still listing the family's first home, which they desold in 1988, and naming a sister-in-law as executor who had passed away years earlier. Probate became a mess. It delayed everything, and it could have been avoided with one simple update. All that from a simple box that was never checked again. But here is the truth I've seen again and again. What we think is handled often needs a second look. Now I'll ask you something. When was the last time you looked at it? Or if you haven't made one yet, what's been holding you back? You'd be surprised how often I hear, oh, we did that back in the 90s. It's all taken care of, but life changes. Families grow, people pass, addresses shift. Even your assets look different than they did 20 years ago. And unless your will keeps up with your life, it might not reflect what you really want today. Whether you're just starting to think about your estate or you had things in place for years, these 5 easy estate moves can help you make sure the legacy you leave is the one you truly intended. And the best part? None of this requires a law degree or hours of paperwork. It's called intestacy, and it often ignores what the heart would have wanted. A will doesn't just protect money, it protects peace, it protects relationships. It protects your wishes when you're no longer able to speak them yourself. These are doable steps. You can start this very week and feel good knowing you re-giving your family peace of mind. Not a mountain of paperwork. And sometimes the difference between a smooth transition and months of stress for your family comes down to just a few simple steps. Let me tell you about something that stuck with me. That's why today's video is so important. So here's what we're going to do together. We'll talk about how to keep your will current and why even the best written 1-1T cover everything. We'll walk through how beneficiary designations might be quietly sending your money somewhere you didn't T-plan. We'll explore the idea of a living trust, which might sound fancy, but could actually save your loved ones thousands then. We'll talk about power of attorney and healthcare directives, because having a say in your care and who manages things if you can is just as important. And finally, we'll cover how to gift wisely before a year and so more of your hard-earned savings goes to your grandkids and less to the IRS. If that sounds like the kind of legacy you want to leave, you're in the right place. And before we dive in, let me gently ask if you find today's video helpful. Number 1, update or create a will. Let's talk about the one document most folks assume is already handled, the will. I remember Jim and Carol, married 52 years, lovely couple, very organized. If you already have a will, this is your sign to pull it out. Dust it off and read it with fresh eyes. Because here's the thing, without a will, the state decides what happens to everything, your home, your savings, even sentimental items like your wedding ring or photo albums. So take a little time this month, sit with your spouse or your trusted family member and ask, is our will up to date? Is it still us? Because starting with this one step can make all the difference down the road, and your family will thank you for it. Number 2, set up or review beneficiary designations now. Let's move to something that catches a lot of folks off guard, those little boxes on retirement accounts. life insurance and bank forms that ask you to name a beneficiary, you know. The ones I'm talking about, they seem like no big deal when you fill them out. Maybe even years ago, but here's the thing most people don't realize. Those designations don't follow your will. They override it. That's right. No matter what your will says, your IRA 401k, life insurance, or even certain bank accounts will go directly to whoever's listed as the beneficiary, and if that person hasn't been updated. The results can be heartbreaking. I once met Sandra, a retired nurse in her late 60s. After her mom passed, she found out the life insurance policy, which they thought would help cover final expenses, was still going to her mom's ex-husband. They'd divorced 20 years earlier, but no one ever changed the form. And legally, that money was his. Sandra was devastated. So here's what I suggest. Take a quiet afternoon and gather your paperwork. Look at your retirement accounts, your IRA's 401ks, annuities, and double check who's listed as the primary and the contingent beneficiary. Primary means they get it first. Contingent means they get it if the primary has passed. Both matter. The same goes for life insurance policies. And don't forget your bank accounts. Many offer payable on death or transfer on death options. These let you name someone to automatically receive the funds without going through probate. And it doesn't stop there. If you've welcomed a new grandchild, lost a loved one, or had a falling out with someone you once trusted, all of these are signs it's time to review those names. Updating a beneficiary often takes just a few minutes, but those few minutes can make the difference between a smooth handoff and a family dispute that drags on for months. So don't leave it up to chance. Don't assume it's probably fine. Pull out the paperwork. Make the call, check the form, and make sure your money, the legacy you worked so hard for, ends up exactly where you want it to. Number 3. Consider a revocable living trust. Let me ask you something that not a lot of people like to think about. When you're no longer here, how easy do you want it to be for your family to settle your affairs? If you're like most folks I talk to, your answer is simple. You want it to be easy, stress-free, and private. That's where a revocable living trust can really shine. Now, I know the word trust sounds complicated or like it's only for the ultra-wealthy, but that's not true anymore. More and more everyday retirees, teachers, nurses, small business owners are setting up living trusts to make life easier for the people they love. Here's why. Unlike a will, which goes through probate court when you pass, a revocable living trust lets your assets transfer directly to your chosen beneficiaries, without court delays, without public records, and without extra fees. That means your family doesn't have to wait months to access what you left them. It's smoother, faster, and more private. Let me share a story. Joe and Mary owned a home in Florida and a condo in Georgia. Sounds nice, right? But when Joe passed, those two properties meant two separate probate processes in two states. Their daughter had to hire 2 lawyers, fill out double the paperwork, and wait nearly a year to finalize everything. If they had put those homes into a revocable trust, all of that could have been handled with one simple document and a whole lot less stress. The beautiful thing about a revocable trust is that it's changeable. That's what revocable means. You're in charge while you're alive, and you can update it whenever life changes. And when you pass, the person you've named as successor trustee steps in and carries out your wishes. No courtroom involved. Now, to be clear, setting up a trust isn't free. You'll likely want a lawyer to help, especially if you own property or have a more complex estate. But for many retirees, it's a one-time cost that saves their loved ones thousands later. So if you've got assets in multiple states or just want to make things easier for your family when the time comes, this might be the smartest move you make this year. It's not just about money, it's about leaving peace behind too. Number 4, use a power of attorney and healthcare directive. Let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that isn't just about money, it's about control, dignity, and making sure your voice is heard even if you can't speak for yourself. I'm talking about having a power of attorney and a healthcare directive in place. 2 simple documents, but they can make a world of difference when life throws the unexpected at you. I'll give you a real example. Bob, a retired bus driver I worked with, had a stroke while watching football one Sunday. He was rushed to the hospital, unconscious. His wife and daughter were by his side, but they couldn't legally access his bank account to pay bills or make decisions about his care. Not until a judge gave them permission. That took time, and in emergencies, time is something you just don't have. Now imagine if Bob had filled out a durable power of attorney. That one piece of paper would have allowed his daughter to step in right away, to talk to the bank, handle bills, and keep things running smoothly without legal red tape. It's a simple document that gives someone you trust the ability to act on your behalf if you're unable to. The healthcare directive, sometimes called a living will, is just as important. It lets your family and your doctors know what kind of medical care you want if you're seriously ill or at the end of life. Do you want to be kept on machines? Do you want pain relief? Do you want to be at home if possible? These aren't easy things to talk about, but not talking about them is even harder, especially for the loved ones left to guess. The good news is these documents aren't hard to get. You can usually get free templates through your state's website, or you can ask your doctor's office or an estate attorney to help. What matters most is choosing someone you trust, someone who knows your values, your wishes, and is willing to speak up when you can't. Putting this in place isn't about being pessimistic. It's about being prepared. It's about making sure the people you love aren't left in the dark, scrambling or worse, fighting over what you would have wanted. With these tools in place, they'll know exactly what to do. And that's a gift in itself. Number 5, gift strategically. Before year-end now, let's talk about something that brings a bit of joy into the mix: gifting. Yes, gifting money can be one of the most powerful estate tools out there, and it doesn't just help your loved ones later. It can make a real difference for them right now. Here's the part that surprises a lot of folks. Every year, you can give up to a certain amount. Currently, $17,000 per person in 2025 without owing a single penny in gift taxes. And if you're married, you and your spouse can each give that amount, meaning together you could gift $34,000 to each child, grandchild, or anyone else you care about. No IRS forms, no taxes, just a loving gift from you to them. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I want to leave something after I'm gone. And that's fair, but here's the beauty of this strategy. By giving now, you not only help reduce the size of your taxable estate, you also get to see the impact of your generosity. You get to watch your granddaughter pay off her student loan, or your son use that gift for a down payment. That's a legacy you get to live. Take Sarah and Jim, a couple I know in their 70s. They had 3 grandchildren and decided to gift each of them $17,000 this year, enough to cover a year of college expenses. Not only did it help the grandkids avoid debt, it also gave Sarah and Jim a little peace knowing their money was going towards something meaningful. And come tax season, they didn't owe anything, and their estate was that much smaller, which means potentially lower estate taxes down the road. Another option? Pay tuition or medical bills directly. If you write the check straight to the school or the hospital, it doesn't even count against the annual limit. That's another way to support your family without giving up control or racking up taxes. So, if you've got more than you need and want to help the next generation while also doing a little tax planning, think about making those gifts before December 31st. Even a small gift done with love and purpose can ripple through a family. For years, we've covered a lot today, haven't we? But if there's one thing I hope you take away, it's this. Planning your estate doesn't have to be overwhelming or filled with legalese. At its heart, it's really about love, about making sure the people who matter most to you are cared for, protected, and given a smoother path when you're no longer here to guide them. So let's take a quick breath and walk back through what we just explored together. First, we talked about the will, the foundation of it all. Whether you're writing one for the first time or dusting off an old one from the 80s, it's the simplest and most essential way to make your wishes known. Then we dug into those sneaky beneficiary designations, the ones that could send your money to someone you never intended. Unless you take 5 minutes to double-check those names, we explored revocable living trusts, a powerful option if you've got property or want to avoid probate. It's not for everyone, but for many, it's a gift of privacy and simplicity that loved ones will truly appreciate. And then We looked at powers of attorney and healthcare directives, two simple forms, but they can prevent so much confusion and stress when life takes a turn you didn't see coming. Finally, we ended on a joyful note, gifting while you're still here to see the difference it makes. Whether it's helping a grandkid pay for school or just lightening the future tax load for your family, giving strategically is one of the best ways to pass on not just money, but meaning. Now here's the part I want you to really hear. You don't have to do everything at once. Pick one thing from today's video, just one. Maybe it's reviewing your will. Maybe it's checking your IRA beneficiaries. Maybe it's calling your daughter and saying, "Hey, let's talk about that power of attorney thing." One step leads to another, and before you know it, you're going to feel more confident, more in control, and more at peace knowing that you've taken care of your legacy. If any of these ideas helped you or got you thinking, I'd love to hear about it. Drop a comment below. Maybe you've already tackled one of these steps. Tell us how it went. You never know who you might help by sharing your story, and if you haven't yet, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel Vibrant Elders, and send it to a friend or sibling who might be thinking about their own legacy. This community is about lifting each other up, and planning for the future is one of the kindest things we can do. You've worked hard your whole life. Now it's time to make sure your love, your values, and your wisdom live on long after the paperwork is signed. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. Take care and keep living with heart, purpose, and clarity.